In 1931, Spain's King Alfonso got kicked off the throne, ending the era of Spanish monarchy. The local Republicans immediately stepped up and formed a new government. This new republic had the same big idea as the United States: freedom, basically, do whatever you want. At first, people were thrilled. Finally, we can live however we like. But very quickly they realized something was off. Sure, there was freedom, but the quality of life, yeah, still terrible. The rich remained rich. The poor remained dirt poor. So the people started demanding land from the government, so they could at least grow food to survive. But the government was like, bro, we don't do land handouts here. If you want land, go buy it from the landlords. The people buy. With what money? We literally have zero income. The government, not our problem. Steal, rob, we don't care. But if you want land, you pay. With no options left, the poor turned their eyes to the Catholic Church. Why? Because the clergy dressed fancy, the churches were everywhere, and there were 8 monasteries in the area. These guys must be loaded, the people thought. So they went full Viking mode and started raiding Catholic churches. And while the churches were getting looted, the police pretended not to see anything. Reason? Bro, I earn a few hundred a month. You think I'm risking my life? No thanks. The priests were furious and rallied Spain's Catholics to support an anti-government anarchist movement. Meanwhile, inside the new government, the left wing and right wing were also fighting. The left-leaning conservatives said, Spain is all about freedom now. We should copy the US and let regions govern themselves. The right-wing extremists said, Spain is already tiny. If we split it up any further, Spain will just disappear. So politicians and military officers began arguing non-stop. One of the young generals mixed up in all this was Franco, but he wasn't the main character yet. In October 1932, another general named Sancho attempted a coup to overthrow the left-wing government and give power to the right wing. But the coup failed, and he got sentenced to life in prison. The left-wing government, afraid of another military rebellion, began cutting down the army. Suddenly, tons of soldiers lost their jobs and became broke civilians. The right-wing extremists, the poor people, and the Catholics who had been robbed left and right all blamed the left-wing government for Spain's chaos. Every faction wanted to fight the left. The left-wing government had promised big dreams, but delivered nothing. People were fed up. In 1933, a new election came. The people, sick of the left, voted the right wing into power. But the right-wing government decided to ditch democracy and promote fascism. The people, bro, seriously, if you were gonna kill democracy, we wouldn't have voted for you. Seeing their chance to return to power, the left teamed up with a bunch of small parties to form the Popular Front to fight the right wing. The right-wing government didn't care. They cursed them out and started shooting anyone who resisted. The most brutal was Franco. He killed over 3,000 resistors. People nicknamed him the Butcher of Spain. In 1936, another election. After watching the right wing go wild, voters switched back to the left-wing government. Once back in power, the left immediately started getting revenge. Even Franco, who controlled much of the army, got exiled to a tiny island. The right-wing bigwigs obviously hated being punished. When one of their leaders, Antonio, was arrested for hiding guns, they finally snapped. They decided to use force to reclaim power, but they needed Franco, even though he was exiled. Franco had previously commanded the Foreign Legion in Morocco, a unit extremely loyal to him. So right-wing leaders urged Franco to escape the island and head to Morocco to prepare a military uprising. But Franco refused to move at first. His logic: Spain isn't chaotic enough yet. The leftists aren't giving land to peasants. The left is also cozying up to the USSR, and Northern Catholics hate that. We need peasants and Catholics to explode first, then we strike. And like he predicted, the moment the left regained power, landless peasants started outright stealing land from landlords. Catholics also began demanding the overthrow of the left-wing government. Spain was turning into a pot of boiling chaos, and the right wing hadn't even started the rebellion yet. Seeing the perfect timing, Franco finally escaped to Morocco to organize troops. A group of right-wing generals planned a military uprising. General Mola would start fighting in Spain. Franco would bring forces from Morocco and land in Spain, but Mola's plan leaked early, and government forces started fighting the rebels before Franco could join. Then the government navy blocked the sea, so Franco couldn't land by boat. Franco panicked. The rebels inside Spain were hopelessly weak. In Barcelona, rebels were crushed in 10 minutes by angry locals. Franco's Foreign Legion in Morocco had to arrive, or the rebellion would collapse. So he went to Hitler for help. Hitler didn't hesitate. Since Franco also liked Wagner's music, Hitler sent planes to airlift Franco's troops into Spain. Once landed, Franco started steamrolling through southern Spain. Within 4 months, the government was losing so badly they had to move the capital. Southern rebels immediately supported Franco as their new boss, especially after their previous leader, Sanderjo, died in a plane crash. Hitler and Mussolini began eyeing Franco too. They wanted Spain to join the fascist body club, but only if Franco could take over all of Spain, become the supreme leader of the rebellion. Franco now had a mission, and he went all out. France freaked out. The Prime Minister begged Britain to help support the Spanish government. But British PM Baldwin, traumatized by WWI, refused. No more world wars for me. Thanks. Bloom wanted to help along, but his cabinet voted against it, so France declared neutrality. The Spanish government panicked. No help from France or Britain. They cried out internationally for assistance. Surprisingly, someone answered: the Soviet Union. But the USSR wasn't donating anything. They wanted Spain's gold reserves in exchange. Meanwhile, Hitler and Mussolini supported Franco. The USSR supported the left-wing government. Britain and France backed off. The US said, "We hate war, but if anyone needs loans or oil, call us." Spain was fighting itself, but the surrounding countries were even more eager to get involved. Franco, with air superiority, marched toward Madrid. The left-wing government immediately abandoned the capital and left a million civilians to defend themselves. The people, dude, we don't even have guns. Thankfully, the international brigades, volunteers from around the world who hated fascism, arrived to help defend Madrid. Many members were German and Italian too. Locals were confused. How come Germans are fighting for both sides? Answer: these were German communists, not Nazis. The international brigades fought fiercely. Mussolini wanted attention, so he sent 50,000 Italian troops to fight independently. But during a battle, they discovered Italians fighting on the other side too, volunteers in the international brigades. An Italian soldier later recalled, "We were shooting when suddenly we heard, 'Hey, are you guys Italian?' We said yes. They said, 'We're Italian too.' Italians don't fight Italians." Then they burst into tears and surrendered. Mussolini was so furious, he announced that any Italian soldier who surrendered again would never be allowed to return to Italy. Franco didn't expect much help from Italy anyway. With Hitler backing him, he was confident. Before fully conquering Spain, Franco already wanted to crown himself the leader, basically Spain's Führer. But other right-wing leaders disagreed. For example, General Mola had more seniority. Then suddenly, Mola's plane mysteriously crashed. He died instantly. People said, "Okay then, what about Antonio? He's still in prison, but is the official fascist leader." But before fleeing, the left-wing government had conveniently killed Antonio in prison. Suddenly, no one had more prestige than Franco. The right-wing leader had no choice but to support him as Spain's new boss. The left-wing government was speechless. "Bro, we haven't even lost yet, and you're already picking a king." Franco shrugged. "Whatever, even the Pope recognizes me as Spain's legitimate government now. Also, America is giving oil only to the right wing. You think they don't know what's up?